Blame yourself if I don't love you. Okay, hello everybody, welcome to the show. Please hit the subscribe button and give this episode a thumbs up. Robin Brown, star of Sister Wives, would have trouble making amends with her husband's previous wives. In 2010, Robin joined Cody's polygamous family. She was willing to share her husband with Mary Janelle and Christine Brown, and she was excited to join his multiple families. Over time, Robin became close to one of the sister wives, especially Mary, and provided her with both financial and emotional assistance. By formally divorcing Cody to allow him to wed Robin and adopt her children from a prior marriage, Mary demonstrated her devotion to Robin in exchange. Even during the COVID-19 pandemic, Robin and Mary maintained their strong relationship. The two bonded quite strongly, just like Janelle had bonded with Christine. Sadly, neither of the women's expectations were fulfilled. Christine moved away from the polygamous household in 2021 and broke up with Cody Janelle, and Cody also split up shortly after Mary shocked everyone by breaking her relationship with Cody. Even though it seemed like she would always stand by Robin as sister wife, Mary moved away from Robin and Cody in order to concentrate on her future Mary's disclosure. Regarding her divide with Robin, Mary feels that her friendship with Robin is not connecting after Mary left Arizona and started concentrating on her new life as a single woman. She and Robin drifted apart. Mary discussed their current connection with Robin in April 2025. Expressing her feelings regarding their remoteness from one another, Mary stated, "There's so many people that are like she was a fraud, she was a liar, she was manipulating." She acknowledged that her connection with Robin had been very solid at one point, but has since soured. Although she and Robin had been close in the past, Mary realized that a distance had grown between them. Perhaps Mary shouldn't have put her trust in Mary, and Robin's friendship was strategic after Mary ended her relationship with Cody. It becomes sense that she and Robin would start to drift apart in the past. They both had something to contribute to one another, to feel connected to her ex-husband Cody. Mary relied on Robin. Robin, meanwhile, liked hanging out with Mary as she felt comfortable confiding in her about her personal issues. In the end, their friendship benefited Robin more than Mary. Thus, it is evident that Mary erred by putting her faith on Robin rather than looking after herself. Robin has slapped Cody's ex-girlfriends. Robin's relationships with each of the sister wives are tense. Fans had high hopes that Robin would get along with the Browns at one point, but in the end, she let everyone down by putting her relationship with Cody before establishing ties with his previous wives. Despite developing a close relationship with Mary through shared hobbies, their relationship ended when Mary broke up with Cody. The TLC star has a tough connection with Janelle and Christine as a result of her inability to build meaningful ties with them. Over the years, there doesn't seem to be any reason for these sister wives to be friends. Thus, it seems doubtful that they would get back together. The death timeline of Sister Wives Garrison during mid-season break. Regarding the mid-season break and the passing of Garrison Brown, there is an intriguing Sister Wives timeline. After a short break, the show returned on Sunday, April 20th, and viewers are unsure of how Garrison's death fits into the story. For further information, continue reading Timeline of Sister Wives Garrison's death. Garrison Brown committed suicide by the time Sister Wives Season 19 debuted. The family apparently wanted him blacked out, but he passed dead in March 2024. They didn't want to cope with the unpleasant feelings that accompanied his death. Additionally, other scenes seem to have been added or res hot. This was done to conceal whatever Cody Brown could have said about Garrison, or to fill in the gaps where he might have appeared. Many of Cody's grown children and his sons had been distant from him. He therefore had no qualms about voicing his opinions, even if they were unfavorable. Garrison seemed to still be alive in the mid-season finale. The children were still residing in Flagstaff, according to his mother, Janelle Brown, who was packing to relocate to North Carolina. She made it clear that Garrison, Savannah, and Gabe would not accompany her after Janelle eventually arrived in North Carolina. The show resumed where it left off, but she said in her confessional that the only people she had left in Flagstaff were Savannah and Gabe. It appears that she relocated prior to his death and then Res Hot, her interviews after his death in the premiere. Robin Brown's daughter Aurora was baptized with the assistance of Garrison's father, Cody Brown. However, that occurred in May 2024, and they immediately went to celebrate 2 months had elapsed since Garrison's death. Garrison therefore passed away between the filming of the first segment of Sister Wives Season 19 and the mid-season debut. Many fans have questioned if the family would even accept his death, let alone provide the specifics. The chronology indicates the precise time of Garrison's death, but it hasn't unnoticed unthinking in Sister Wives Season 19. Garrison Brown did not appear in any way, however. When the edit went wrong, he was unintentionally shown a few times, given that it was just disclosed at the start of the season. Many fans are curious as to when he passed away to honor him. A brief disclaimer was posted, but that was all. Now that they know he probably passed away, while filming, viewers have been finding it difficult to watch the show. They never did a mid-season finale as far as I can remember. Have you? I'm not sure, but they might do one about Garrison. All of this was shot before to Garrison's passing. She moved to North Carolina previously. I think she was in North Carolina. Isn't that why she requested Gabriel to check on him? Does anyone know, according to rumors, a special about Garrison and his passing will air? But in the Browns' world, life continues on, and he is excluded from it all. Do you find it surprising that Garrison died somewhere between the mid-season premiere and the mid-season finale's filming? Furthermore, do you think he will eventually be used to provide longtime fans with a resolution? One woman joined a family bound together by conviction and unorthodox love in a life that had previously been molded by shared residences and spiritual commitments. Her route took her through unanticipated challenges of loyalty, quiet anguish, and the dissolution of relationships she once thought were unshakable. But it started with the dream of togetherness and belonging. She entered a home years ago that was already teeming with complex relationships and dynamics. This was not a typical home. Rather, it was a mosaic of women who were all spiritually married to the same man and were all looking for meaning and tranquility in a system that few people fully comprehended. In addition to bringing new vitality, her entrance had unintended implications that gradually became apparent over the ensuing years. It was not the woman she expected who greeted her with the greatest warmth. It wasn't the realistic person in charge of finances and timeouts. It wasn't the one who was renowned for her parental warmth. It had been the woman who had been the first who had supported the man through his unsure beginnings and who had witnessed each development with cautious optimism, perhaps a lifeline to a bliss she hadn't had in years. She recognized a spark of camaraderie in the newcomer. Although they didn't connect right away, their bond grew with time, becoming deeper with each gaze that conveyed understanding and stronger with each conversation they had together. They supported each other, while the elder wife offered loyalty, the kind so uncommon it defies logic. The younger one offered financial arrest and assurance. She didn't make the decision lightly when she decided to give her spiritual husband the legal right to marry the newest member. She sacrificed something for someone else's dream. It was an act of acceptance disguised as sacrifice. Their family was to be strengthened by the arrangement. It was meant to strengthen solidarity, and it seemed to work for a while. Unlike the others, the two women became friends during periods of public scrutiny. There were quiet moments of affirmation, shared holidays, and lengthy conversations over warm drinks. They stayed near, making room for one another throughout days of uncertainty and loneliness, even as the world slowed down and closed in. However, families evolve, and occasionally not every member develops in the same way. The others started to drift away one by one, not only from the guy who had held them together, but also from the very system they had all once trusted. First, the person who was renowned for her fierce independence and sparkling laughter opted for freedom above formality. Subsequently, the calm individual who had always served as the family's pillar discreetly distanced herself from the mayhem. The restraints loosened. Even the first wife reached a point of no return. Although staying for a while longer and appearing to be steadfast in her commitment to the bond she had fostered with the newest member, she did not make a dramatic statement or shout as she left it, was silent, introspective, and intensely intimate. She left a lifestyle, a set of beliefs, and a friendship she no longer recognized. In addition to a man, and the stillness between the two women grew louder in that distance. Time went by. The season shifted. Old promises came to an end, and new routines emerged. The once devoted wife, now living away from the past, started creating a life for herself, one that was characterized by her own name and sense of purpose rather than by her shared husband or title. She spent her days traveling, rebuilding, and finding the side of herself that she had long concealed behind layers of responsibility. Even still, she continued to think about the lady she used to name her best friend during her calmer times. She questioned whether their relationship had been genuine or perhaps incidental. Clarity didn't surface until they eventually spoke once more. They didn't talk loudly or angrily. It was quiet, almost delicate. The woman who had withdrawn talked about how much she had formerly cherished their relationship and how intimate they had been. Her remarks, however, were accompanied by anguish and a sense of loss for something that had once been sacrosanct. She talked about betrayal and trust, but not in dramatic terms. Instead, she described the gradual degradation that occurs when one gives more than they receive. I was told I was blind by a lot of voices. She added I didn't recognize it for what it was. I was naive. I was holding on to something that had never been mine. Her remarks had weight even if they weren't meant as accusations. The woman she once held in such high regard acknowledged their separation. She didn't make a big apology, rather. Her expression revealed little as she listened in silence. Maybe she was in grief too, or maybe she just wasn't as affected by the loss. In retrospect, it became evident that their friendship might not have had a stable base from the beginning. One had required confirmation and assurance, access, acceptance, and possibly even a strategic ally were necessary for the other. The intimacy ended when their emotional currency ran out. The woman who had left started to notice the signals she had overlooked. When she looked back, she came to see that a lot of their bond had been based on their shared suffering and objectives, primarily their attempts to stay near the man they had once cared. For their motivations for remaining in touch became less evident after that relationship was severed. The friendship turned from a reality to a memory. With each month that went by, the situation became increasingly isolated for the lady who stayed in the family structure. She had previously dreamed of a life of spiritual harmony, sisterhood, and oneness. But that vision dwindled with each departing wife, and she grew more alone the more she held on to the man at the core of it all. Her attempts to make amends with the women who had left her were unsuccessful. There were too many emotional scars. The past is too complicated. Everyone else had moved on. Some fell in love again. Some found meaning in their independence. Others made room so they could breathe at last. Once a murmur among watchers and fans, the possibility of reunification faded. The roles the women had played were no longer appropriate for them. Others found their voice and shared their experiences as survivors of a spiritual construct that no longer served them rather than as victims, while others opted for silence. The two ex-friends were still separated by an emotional divide that neither of them appeared ready or able to bridge from the outside. It was easy to wonder if the bond had ever been genuine, or was it just one more sacrifice in a long list of concessions that multiple marriage required. One thing is for sure, one woman ultimately made her own decision. She left behind a marriage, a friendship, and a set of beliefs in order to recover her true self. The other one was still there. She did it, however, in a home that suddenly seemed far too big, encircled by recollections of a sisterhood that had suddenly fallen apart. One departure at a time. Sister wives. He's basically perfect. Mary couldn't hold back her tears as she embraced a new family member since her split from Cody's sister wives. Star Mary Brown has been living her best life. Despite their more than 20 years of marriage, Cody made the diva's life miserable. Furthermore, Robin, his fourth wife, made every effort to undermine Mary's inner fortitude. Mary is finally expressing her emotions and living life to the fullest, now that she is not with Cody. The diva recently informed her admirers of some wonderful news as Mary held someone important in her arms. She couldn't stop crying. She went on to say that this man made her very happy. Mary is obviously pleased at last, as evidenced by the wonderful snapshot she posted with the man after her unpleasant encounter with the Brown family. It's good to see her moving on with her life. Who is that unique person in Mary's life? Then continue reading to learn more. Is Mary preparing to leave Sister Wives? Mary was on the Tamron Hall show lately. In addition to disclosing numerous salacious rumors about her life and her connections with Cody and her former sister spouses, she also discussed many behind-the-scenes secrets there. She has never appeared on a chat show by herself. Before Mary's candid discussion of the show's secrets has led many to believe that she is finally planning to quit. In addition, she is concentrating on growing her company and having the courage to criticize Cody and Robin's sister wives. Mary talks about a guy who made her very happy while she was moving with Brandon ever since she married Cody. Mary's life has been a wild journey. Many even criticized her for her toxic behavior, and she even had problems with the children. The diva is at last content with her life. After a lot of hardship, Mary just announced that she has finally met the guy who brings her joy on Instagram, along with a cute photo. She went on to say that this man made her life so much more enjoyable. I met a little piece of heaven, Mary continued. The diva declared that he made her happy while cuddling up to him. He was essentially ideal for her. The man was actually the baby boy of her nephew. This little guy has a piece of my heart. Mary stated she was referred to as Auntie M by all of her nephews and nieces years ago. But now that she was a Grand M, she was so happy that she couldn't stop crying. The Sister Wives star went on to say that Ganty M will be her moniker for all of her great nieces and great nephews going forward. She said, "Kind of love this great nephew of mine, and that she sort of loves the name." Mary was smiling broadly in the picture, holding her great nephew close to her heart. Mary's joyous heart and her enjoyment of the moment were readily apparent. The diva's admirers were pleased to watch her savoring every small moment. "How wonderful," wrote one enthusiast. "He has the world's greatest grant, I am." Another person said that children are incredibly joyful. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Get more updates daily. See you soon.